And we are live. I'm Chris Cillizza. That man there is the pride of St. Louis. The man once voted best hair in Denver. Guess I was passed over. Leland Vittert, he also happens to be the host of On Balance on News Nation, where I will note for people I am a paid contributor. Not really sure how that impacts you, but just so you know, in the interest of full disclosure. Hi, Leland.
Greetings and salutations. You know, the one thing about winning a Best Hair Award is you will never live it down. Does not matter whatever else happens in your life. You can interview terrorists, you can confront presidents of the United States, and you will forever be, you write a New York Times best-selling book, and you will be forever introduced. I could keep going. Award-winning barbecue, many skills.
Yes.
And you will be forever known as the best hair dude.
And I guess I would say I wouldn't know. But I will also note that Born Lucky, which Leland obliquely mentioned there, is his memoir of growing up and his relationship with his father and his lifelong struggle is the wrong word, but how he has sort of battled his autism. Is that a fair? I never know exactly how to describe it now.
Yeah, I never talked about it until I was in my 20s, right? That's the Born Lucky story. And you very kindly did a Substack Live about it and kind of introduced me to what Substack was. And hence now I have my own Substack. Thank you. Welcome to all of
War Notes. Please check it out. Leland makes a video every day that you can watch every morning.
Yeah, you can watch you can watch it. I will pontificate ad nauseum. But I don't know. I never thought of it as a struggle. I always just thought it was me. Now, obviously, I did struggle with it because, growing up was really hell. But what's been interesting to me is I was really worried, Chris, and I think this is actually sort of like a nice thing about TV, maybe. I don't know if there is.
I was going to say, let's find a nice thing about TV.
I kind of thought that when I wrote this book and said, hey, by the way, I'm autistic. Something I never discussed privately or publicly or with any boss or anybody until I was in my late 30s and early 40s and working on the book, that after the book came out, that somehow there would be people who would kind of use it against me.
Of course. And anytime you open yourself up,
And nobody really has. I've waited for that moment. And I've had a couple of comebacks ready if anybody ever does. But it hasn't, which I think is a really nice thing.
It is a nice thing. I always
part of this.
One of the things that's hard, I think, if you are in the public light at all, is if you do want to share anything beyond just what I'm talking about on my show or what I'm writing about in politics. It is nerve-wracking a little bit in a way that doing a show about politics, writing about politics, whatever we do, is not really, because it's not putting you out there. This is you. You're talking about your dad. You're talking about your relationship with him. You're talking about your family. You're talking it's way harder. I think people are like, oh, who cares? You're in the public eye anyway. It's well, you're in the public eye for doing a certain kind of thing. Right. When you branch out of that thing is when it does get more nerve-wracking. Anyway, Born Lucky, it is a New York Times bestseller. I would urge people, one thing I learned, and Leland and I have talked about this, when you write a book, is there are basically two times that people buy books: Christmas and what my editor called moms, dads, and grads, basically from Mother's Day until when people graduate from college as gifts. It is a wonderful book to buy any time of the year. My father has passed. I actually would have, he passed before the book, he passed in 2020. I would have loved to give it to him because it's a real love story in a way about,
it's not an autism book. It's
a story about you and your dad. And you know what? A lot of writing about fathers and sons is my dad was awful. This is not that. It's actually
it is a love story. It's really extraordinary what he has done. Although something has come of this, and nobody signed on to listen to us talk about my dad, but he is right there.
There he is. Yeah, not literally. He's larger than that in real life. Yeah,
kind of lurking. But him pointing is sort of a pretty, familiar image. I've been playing a lot of golf with him. I'm up in Michigan, spending some of the summer up here doing the show from here, and we're playing a lot of golf. And I mean to tell you, you write a New York Times best-selling book about a guy, and he still will not give you a 1-foot putt.
That is bullshit. That is.
I know.
You would think that would be a kind of thing you'd get.
Yeah, and I try to shame him
the
into
gimme
it.
out to like 4 feet.
I
Can
try
make
to
me
shame
flip
him
this.
into it, and he just sits there like, "Got it."
Gotta stand over it. All right, so, again, War Notes on Substack is, Leland's, Substack. Born Lucky is his book, memoir of him growing up. It really is a story of fathers and sons. I would encourage people really to read it, not just because Leland is my friend, because it's a really good book. And obviously, Leland has On Balance every night, 9 p.m. Eastern on News Nation. All right, let's talk about, so we went back and forth very briefly about what we should talk about, because I didn't want to just riff. And so Leland sent me what he had done this morning, and I want to frame this, at least this part of the conversation, Leland, as revenge of the normie voter, basically. So let's talk about what's happened. Let's see. So today is the 13th. So we're almost 10 days. Abdul El-Sayed wins the Michigan primary very narrowly, but wins the Michigan Senate primary on August 5th. It's called, no, excuse me. Yeah, it's called on August 5th, last Wednesday. And then we have Minnesota, Wisconsin this past Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Tell folks what your takeaway from that period is. And I've already hinted at it with my Revenge of the Normie
Revenge
Voter,
of the
but
Normie
go
Voters,
ahead.
but which I keep looking for things, and I don't know whether, it's a different way to look at it, that give us all hope, right? Because politics has become so depressing and so angry.
Yep, totally.
That there is this real hope, and the hope is America, that America comes back together. And what I would say in all three of those cases, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, is the polling missed terribly, right? Which
Yep.
allows all of us TV anchors to dunk on all you political analysts and say, "Ha ha, you guys blew it again." But it's important to think about why. And most political nerds understand how polling is done, but I think the general population is sort of still a little wishy-washy.
They don't
right?
understand. Yes.
Polling, the very smart people like Chris Cillizza and others sit around and come up with what they think the electorate's going to look like. It's going to be this many Republicans, this many Democrats, this male, this female, this from this zip code and that zip code, all these different parameters. And then they go out and they call thousands and thousands of people until they get a certain number, a sample size that fit that demographic profile, they've come up with. So if the profile's wrong, the poll's wrong. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
The analogy I always make is, if you put shitty gas in your car, the car doesn't run well. I mean, like, what the input is equals what the output is. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's not calling 1,000 people and saying, "Are you going to vote in the primary? Who are you going to vote for?" So if the model of who's going to vote is off, then it's off. And the model was way off, it would appear, in all three of these cases. The third is Minnesota, which is Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy who lost.
For governor.
He was way ahead, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that says there was a lot of normies, like my dad, who would have never gone and voted in a primary election, especially a Democratic primary election, but he hates Abdul El-Sayed. He thinks he's a raging anti-Semite, which he happens to be. He thinks he is a raging Jew hater and terrorist supporter, which he is, and a commie, which he is. And my dad would have walked over broken glass, we're here in Michigan, to go vote for Haley Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
He would never vote for Haley. He would never do this. And so obviously there were a lot of people like that. There were a lot of people in the Democratic primary, both in Wisconsin and in Michigan, and in the Republican primary against Mike Lindell, who lost, who's a complete nut. Fine.
Yes. Hasn't conceded yet. Still looking for those election votes.
I heard he was going to take, I heard he was hitting snooze.
I saw him the other day. It was after the election, but he was just like, had a microphone and he was just like running around and talking. And I was like, is that microphone connected to anything? You know what I mean? It's just for his own purpose.
You feel bad for somebody like that. And obviously he sincerely believes this stuff, which
he can sleep on his giant bed of money, Leland. I don't feel that bad for him.
Money does not buy brains. Just
we certainly know that to be the case. Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a growing group of people now who are angry about the extremes and now willing to do something about it. And if you think about that, to me, it's either everybody keeps talking about like what's the way out of this? The Democrats have to come to the center, Republicans have to come to the center. Both have been given opportunities to do that. Neither will.
That's right.
Okay. So Cillizza's never agreed with me anywhere near this much.
You're totally right.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to get this recording when anybody says I'm right. Like,
it's fine. Just frame it.
No. I'm going to make it my ringtone on my wife's phone.
You're right.
No, Leland's right. Leland is right.
That's good. Good for affirmation. Nothing wrong with that.
So I come back to the hope is that if there's enough angry people in the middle, maybe you won't end up with a far left and a far, like Republicans or Democrats normalizing, but a true third party. And people have tried. I don't think ever very well. Mark McKinnon seems to think it's going to happen from the top down, that there's going to be some kind of
and I'm in the exact opposite boat. I think top down has been tried, and by top down, I'm assuming McKinnon means a figure emerges who runs for president or is a leader of party. I think we've tried that. My view is, like, if you want to start a third party, start running people for state. It's a longer project, but start running people. And that's why nobody ever does it, because people want to be immediate gratification, but like particularly rich people who fund these things. But I think start from the bottom up, like elect some state legislators, like build a real party as opposed to like a figurehead that you call a party. But anyway,
McKinnon obviously has done very well in politics thinking about this stuff. And the Ross Perot model's there. Had he not imploded,
he dropped out of the race and then he got back in and still got 20.
And thought people were like chasing his daughter or whatever it was.
That was so weird.
Right. So if that all there's a market for that. And you think about if Donald Trump had run as an independent, he might have been able to pull it off.
Yes.
Right. Like somebody like that kind of in the zeitgeist figure. Maybe there's nobody quite like Trump. There's not, but who knows? We didn't think Trump could do it in 2015, 2016. So that to me is the real hope. And that to me is a worthwhile thing to both celebrate. And it's really worthwhile, I think, as the media. People in the middle are often just written off as like boring and not interested or not interesting. And I think highlighting those people and telling those people, like my dad, like, hey, you can actually make a huge difference is really, really worthwhile.
I think you make a really good point, and it's one I struggle with people who consume my content, and I assume you do too, is like people will say to me all the time, like, why, if you think that Donald Trump is amoral, why wouldn't you be for Democrats? And I'm like, I just think both parties fail people like me who are not, I'm not like, I'm going to go into this assuming Republicans are right. I'm going to go into this assuming Democrats are right. And it's like, neither party, I mean, look, I think Democrats are going to have a good election in the fall. They should not, they probably will if history's any guide, but they should not assume that this is a vote for Democrats. It's just, we live in a binary system currently. So if you don't want left hand, you're getting right hand. Like, I think people struggle with that who are just by their nature partisan. Like, I don't love the solutions either party is really coming up with. And I want to touch on something that you mentioned in your video this morning. Again, War Notes on Substack is how you get Leland, on Substack at least. I like this idea. You said, what if we had a competence party? And what if, and that doesn't even have to be a third party. Like, what if one of the two parties decided we're going to solve for competence? Like, we're going to solve for, we know how to make this thing work. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I actually really like that idea, and I think it would appeal to people.
But most Americans just want America to work, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Pretty
make the trains run on time, for lack of a better, right.
Yeah. And that is increasingly an underrated skill. Like, it's an under-indexed skill in politics. Because no one can tell you the trains are running on time in America right now. Hence why tear down the establishment, kick the bums out is a winning message. So to me, if there was a party that said, I'm going to do that, which is what Trump said, now what Democrats or the DSA folks are saying in a different way, it has real appeal. I do think that there is there is a yearning by a lot of Americans for a traditional value set of America, and both parties have sort of gotten away from.
Explain that.
Well, think about the world as right versus wrong, not left versus right. Think about traditional versus progressive. And there's a lot of Donald Trump that is very progressive. There's a lot of Tucker Carlson that's very progressive. And then there's a lot of American traditionalists. And that, to me, is more of where this third party goes to. And there's the problem is that there's we've come up with these litmus test issues, right? Boys and girls sports, the border, ICE, that are very culturally significant and not very, the border's probably policy significant. But we used to have differences between the parties on okay, do you fix Social Security or do you not fix Social Security? Do you expand Medicare or do you not? All these things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Trump is doing policy-wise a lot of what the Democrats are doing, other than the border. Fine. He has no problem spending more money, just in a different way. So I think there is a, in Perot proved this, right? When he had his charts out and everything else. There's a group of Americans who care about actually the government working in a meaningful way, which it does not right now.
I want to share, let me see if I can, this may be beyond my technological capacity, but I saw something.
Are we sharing screens?
I'm going to share my screen just because I really like this. And he's a friend, Mark Short, who used to work.
He's on the program tonight, by the way.
Oh, great. There we go. I didn't even, unintentional plug. Let me see if I can find it. His basic argument is exactly this, which is we are not solving actual problems. He is very focused on, here it is. I found it. Sorry, just slightly.
Oh, you mean daylight saving time?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just feel the dumbest fight, and I know people will hate me for it. The fight that I like the least is the Gulf of America thing. I just don't give a shit. It's I never, the amount of time I spend thinking about the Gulf of Mexico is 0%. And the amount of time I will spend thinking about the Gulf of America is also 0%.
Right.
There are way bigger issues.
Well, you've heard the concept earning fun, right?
No, tell me. That interests me.
Earning fun. In TV, when I have a number of weeks of high ratings, I get to do golf segments.
Right.
I get to have my sister on more. I get to do the show from Michigan, whatever.
Shout out to Liberty Vittert.
Yes. She actually rates very well. So, it's same, when you're getting straight A's, your parents don't ride you and you get to go to bed
100%.
later. You earn
100%.
fun. The reason I think so many Americans are so angry with Trump right now, his approval rating is so low, is he is having fun. The Gulf of America, arches,
the ballroom, right?
Blah, 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 blah. But he hasn't earned it. If all of us, if you snapped your fingers and gas was $2 a gallon, inflation was staying low, real wages were actually growing, people felt richer, which is basically what real wages are, no one would care.
Right.
And everybody in all the media, belly aching and complaining about the ballroom and that the reflective pool liner and the arch, nobody would care about those stories. It would just be like, why are you picking on the guy? It's working for me. Call it. You got to earn your fun. And that to me is that neither political party has earned their fun.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition would be Ron DeSantis, right? He seems to be doing pretty well in Florida. Florida's doing pretty well. You've earned your fun. You get to go do your pet projects.
Right.
Andy Beshear in Kentucky.
Yep. Same thing.
Doing well.
When you're at 70% popularity, you can do some stuff you just want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And people for you.
100%. Yes. Because you've done things for them. I have figured this out. I just want to pull this up. And again, Mark Short, former senior advisor to Mike Pence, will be on Leland's show tonight, as will I. Leland, can you see this or is that too small?
No, I got you.
Okay, so here's Short. So this is some brutal figures from Treasury's latest monthly statement for the fiscal year date. U.S. deficit is $1.8 trillion, larger than the deficit for all of last year. $1.2 trillion spent on interest on the debt. So Short adds to this that, the White House the House and the Senate are all controlled by Republicans. Right. A $40 trillion national debt with record spending and interest payments is unsustainable. Republicans' continual failures to address the national debt and deficit make it harder to draw a contrast with DSA spending proposals. And that's the way that I think about competence is I always think that we kind of have two relatively unserious parties at a moment where seriousness is required. And I think Mark gets to that. Like Mark is an old school conservative Republican. He is not, I love when people say, even Steve Schmidt is critical of Republicans. I'm like, well, that's what Steve Schmidt does now. I mean, yes, he was once a Republican, but Mark Short is like an actual
He's still a Republican.
Right. And so I take what he says and he's just saying like, this is unsustainable and Republicans are doing nothing about it. Certainly Democrats aren't doing anything about debt and deficit. And I think that gets to, I just saw that today and made me think of you. Like, this is the point. It's like we are unserious parties at a time where seriousness is required.
Well, that's sort of the flip side, right? That hard times make weak men or make unserious parties or men. I have no idea what you're writing down with your...
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes because I'm going to write about this afterward.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Leland said, I love Chris Cillizza. That's a direct quote. I've got it right down here.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll take it. Look, I have notes on my Petsy, Revenge of the Normies. Wow. I have a few notes there.
Okay.
Ask Leland about his hairstylist. That's unrelated.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to share.
Make your point.
The reason things are in a weird way so good, right? Like we haven't had a world war for 80 years.
Yep.
The American economy, whatever however your personal financial situation is, in many ways has never been better. The entire world still yearns to come to America.
Yep. Infant mortality rates are at historical. I mean, there's a lot of things.
We are the reserve currency. Like there's lots of things that are going really well in America. Admittedly, there's a lot of people who are being left behind. That's a huge problem. People are angry about that. It makes sense. But you want to go somewhere else, go there. There's nowhere else to go that's better. I think the flip side is we can afford to be unserious, at least right now, until we can't. And then we're going to need really serious people because being unserious creates serious problems. And being serious creates a condition, or it has over the past, say, 15 or 20 years, where we could have unserious people.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And I say this, I feel the need to say this, but it's true, on both sides.
Yes. Well, look, the Social Security and Medicare, there's no mystery about the funding. It is going to run out. Well, our debt and who owns our debt is China, is giantly problematic. I mean, like you could ask Ted Cruz that, you could ask Bernie Sanders that. They're going to agree. Now, their solutions. Will tell you
the debt, you can't tax your way out of the debt, right?
No.
But it was interesting. One of the highest rated segments we've ever had is, and by the way, I mean by growth, and we track these things.
Non-Cillizza appearance. Let's put that aside.
The present company is always excluded in this conversation. Is a guy who was a former Republican state legislator in Idaho, former Army officer, switched to be a Democrat so he could be appointed by a Republican governor to the state Senate, I believe. Now running as an independent in Idaho.
Is this guy Todd Achilles?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Democrat has dropped out because they think that it's the only way to give Achilles a chance. And obviously they'd like a Democrat in the Senate, but somebody who's not going to caucus with the Republicans is better than somebody who will. So Democrats are sitting this one out. But I asked him, like, what do you think's most important? He's like, got to fix Social Security. I was like, oh, really? How are you going to do that? Thinking he goes, oh, it's very simple. Eliminate the $187,000 salary cap on all Social Security taxes and put a Social Security tax on capital gains. So all income is taxed. Doesn't matter how you get it. Social Security is solved. He's 100% right. Like these problems are not hard.
No, they're politically intractable. But that's not the same thing as there aren't solutions.
Right. And like the same, and by the way, I kind of think about like immigration. Immigration is like the Palestinian-Israeli debate, right? Or problem or whatever. I spent 4 years in the Middle East, so I kind of like everything to me comes back to the Middle East. We know what the deal is on immigration. Like, there's a deal to be made. It's fairly obvious. There's a deal to be made between the Israelis and the Palestinians. It is, at least within the Israelis and Palestinians, it is in one side's best interest and their benefactors' best interest not to make the deal. And the same is on immigration. Like, it is, depending on the time of and who's in power, it's either in Republicans or Democrats' best interest not to make a deal. So we're never going to have a deal. Like, it's better as a problem than it is as a solved issue.
Yeah, it's better as a political issue than solving it legislatively or from a policy perspective.
Right. And
I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to do 2 thought experiments, and I'll do them with you.
More people are signing on. Our ratings are going up. So
yeah, that's true. We got to stay on.
To me, that means we need to keep going.
I want to talk about the election.
Yeah, everybody who's listening, go text a couple of your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends.
And we will keep going.
Yeah, we will go 6-8 hours. Well, Leland has to be on TV at 9. We are in the 80s days left before the election. Let's do this thought experiment. Let's say I want to do Democrats and Republicans. Let's start with Republicans and Trump. We are the strategists for the Republican Party. What is the piece of advice or pieces of advice you give to say, look, this election may not be amazing for us, but it doesn't have to be a disaster for us. What should they be saying and doing? And honestly, it's almost impossible. Like, whatever the hell all these House members who are in danger want to say or do, so much of it is dictated by Trump. So maybe the question is, what should Donald Trump be saying or doing between now and the election? And then we're going to do the Democrats too.
I have a hard time giving advice to like politicians because I think it's first of all, it's not what I like. I'm not trained in it. I'm not a political.
That's never stuck to me, Leland.
I know, but that's why we often have you because you have
right.
that ability. What I look back to is like, what could you do to like totally change the conversation? And I think both sides want to underpay, right? Both sides want to win. Both sides want to underpay.
Underpay.
Kamala Harris could have won the 2024 election in a landslide by coming out at the convention and saying Donald Trump represents an existential crisis to America. The only thing that matters is preventing him from returning to the White House. Therefore, I am nominating Mitt Romney as my running mate. I am nominating insert normie Republican here as my Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense.
You could have put Doug Burgum in as the, you know what I mean? Like there are people that are even in Trump's cabinet that you could have used.
You could have Marco Rubio. I mean, there's people, Burgum, or not. And I am running on a national unity ticket. There is going to be no boys and girls sports. We are done with that. We're done with identity politics. I am running solely to restore America, and I'm going to make Jamie Dimon my Treasury Secretary. Mm-hmm. Like this very normie, like she would have won with 350 electoral college votes?
And so when you say underpay, you mean they're not willing to do the things that could make them more successful politically because they're hard politically.
Right. They're hard politically to do. They take leadership to do. And leadership is something that is oddly missing among America's leaders. And we saw this with Speaker Johnson and Max Miller. And I called that out on air. I'm sure they didn't like that. But the speaker goes, it's really not looking good for Max Miller.
Right.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're third in line to the presidency. What are you like a talking head on TV now? It doesn't look good. Like
there's a 35% chance he survives.
Yeah. Like really? Like no. Like and what's funny is like the American people respond to leadership. They do. They're thirsty for it. There's like the famous scene from The West Wing of they'll crawl through the desert towards the mirage, and when they can't find it, they'll drink the water.
Yep.
Who among us Washington nerds doesn't like quoting Aaron Sorkin?
I know.
But that unwillingness to do hard things is invariably both political parties undoing, which, by the way, is why Donald Trump got elected in 2016, because he did the hard thing. He went out and he said, all you idiots are talking about immigration reform and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to build a wall. That was a hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, whether you agree with it or not, it was a radical-ish proposal to solve it.
Right. And everybody went, oh, okay. Like that. And by the way, it's why Democratic Socialists are having a moment, because they're taking these issues that people are really upset about, like healthcare, and not saying, well, let's study a 15-point plan for how
let's
we can
form a committee. Right.
But really what we need to do is we need to change the reinsurance market so that there's not as much of incentive for carriers to only insure in one of 8 states. Blah, 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 blah. Medicare for all.
Easy to understand.
You're going to solve my problem? Cool.
I always thought that one of the things I was always amazed by, that he kind of I think it really helped him in 2024, and he's kind of walked away from it since then, and we've talked about this on air, is I always thought that Trump was at his best when his message was roughly this: this isn't about Republicans or Democrats or liberal conservative. I'm for common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, and that I always thought, like, if he could, and he can't because he's Trump, he just can't stick to a message, but that's a good message. I'm for common sense. I'm for what the average person is like. Your bullshit meter, you're like, that doesn't really make sense. Or, that does make sense. Like, it is amazing to me how hard it is for both parties to just do things that make sense to the bulk of the public, right? Like, it's not that hard. And yet, like, I always thought I think that played a critical role in him winning, because it was basically like, I don't love him, but like, he calls it basically like he sees it. Whereas like Kamala Harris is for they, them, and she's too woke and DEI. Like, I think that's basically why he wins again. And yet I haven't heard almost any of that in the last 20 months from him, which to me makes no sense.
Yeah, it's always easier outside the tent shooting in and
right.
Or
easier to campaign than to govern, obviously.
Way easier to campaign and then to govern. And we've talked about this on the show, is that Donald Trump likes easy wins. And wins politically are very hard. Just ask Barack Obama. He came in with, 9 gajillion things that he wanted to do, right? And I think there's a famous story, and I'm going to botch it, but with Rahm Emanuel and Obama and a couple of people, like there was 3 things they wanted to do, and they, like, healthcare, they moved Obamacare up to number 1. And that was
because you're just not going to get 5 things.
Right. You're just not going to get 5. You're going to get 1. And Trump, it was the big beautiful bill, right? Like that, when you win the House, the Senate, and the White House, you get 1 thing.
Yep.
And either the 1 thing works or it doesn't.
And look, I mean, Obama, they barely got healthcare over the line. And he came in with, he won Indiana and North Carolina, huge electoral college victory, politics is changing. Like, talk about like actual political capital to spend. And it cost him significantly, and cost the Democratic Party significantly to get that 1 thing. Now, it's a big thing, but still, to your point.
Right. And if you think about the trajectory that Obama set the economy up for, things did really well, right?
Yep.
Like, he lost in Democrats lost in 2016 because of cultural issues, not because of the economy, which is kind of interesting. And Trump ran.
Hillary was Hillary, and they wanted an outsider, not an insider, and she was the ultimate insider. Right. Yeah. It wasn't because people were like, I don't like the way things are going in the country, really.
But in 2010, he lost the midterms because of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at these things, and I think it's why. Now, you didn't ask me the hard question. Are you ready? Like, it's very easy to know what Democrats could do right now to not underpay, to overpay for a massive majority, right?
Okay.
Move to this. It's the same. Move to the center. Talk about
center culturally or center economically and
both, because America's a roughly center. Really, America's sort of a center right country.
Yep.
Save the far, sort of the socialists among us. They could very easily put out a contract with America that would make a lot of sense, right? We're going to fund securing the border. We're going to secure a pathway to citizenship for everybody who is here, who has never committed a crime. We're going to end sanctuary cities and deport anyone who has committed a crime. Like, there's some very basic things that, like, most of America would be
this
like,
is the common sense party.
Great.
Right.
Love it. Let's do it. Sign me up. And Republicans would have nowhere to go, but they don't want to do it. The harder thing to figure out right now is what would Republicans do to overpay? Because they are trapped right now by what they've done, and by the fact that they're the ones in power.
Yeah.
Right. So that to answer your question.
Yeah.
In the long way around, it's like, it's very hard to tell, to think like, okay, what could Republicans do differently that would, like, totally change the game and everybody, like, and put Iowa, in the way that Iowa could be in play for Democrats.
I think.
By the way, people are loving it. We're like, people are texting their friends. We're already up.
It's happening.
Must keep going.
It's all happening. The thing I wonder, I think it is going to be really hard to do that for Republicans, largely because Trump is, like, if Donald Trump said tomorrow, I support Medicare for all, there'd be a lot of Democrats who opposed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because it's Trump. It's like anything he does, it's like they're going to. So I think it would be hard. I do think, who I think is actually doing interesting things, and I'm not supportive of him, and I kind of like two people. One, Tate Reeves in Mississippi, the governor of Mississippi, Republican, doing really good things. If you look at Mississippi has traditionally been 49th or 50th in every single education category, every single public education category. It's them in Alabama. They call it now the Mississippi Miracle, what they have done down there. I would urge people, I don't care if you like Republicans, you hate Republicans, you like Tate Reeves, whatever, I don't care. Go type in Mississippi Miracle. That's number one. Number two.
By the way, who wrote about the Mississippi Miracle?
Leland Vittert.
Rahm Emanuel.
So that leads me to my second one, Rahm Emanuel, who is a Democrat, who Leland mentioned, first chief of staff to Obama, mayor of Chicago. He's not announced, but he's effectively running for the Democratic presidential nomination. He went to Mississippi. He talked to Tate Reeves. He's doing really interesting stuff on social media. How should we handle social media and phones with kids? Like, he's doing things on issues.
He went on a bike ride around Michigan.
That's right. I feel like we are fighting in, like, this big of a playing field issues wise, when there are all these, like, have you heard anyone in either party, an elected official, say anything marginally smart or workable about how we are dealing with the exponential growth of AI? I haven't. And it's a critical issue of our time. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue, right? Like, and that's my point. It's like we're fighting over 5 yards when there's 100-yard football field. And that's what I don't get.
Yeah. That is 100% true.
And this gets me to the Gulf of America fight. Like, to me, the Gulf of America fight is an idiotic fight, no matter where you land on it.
Politicians have gotten to the point where they are allowed to fight over stupid things, because that is what drives outrage, which is what drives cable news viewership, and now more than ever drives social media clicks and views, and in this inexhaustible fountain of outrage that we're gonna that prevents them from having to solve the serious problems. Now, part of the reason for that they don't have to is America, the dollar is the reserve currency. We have a
things are
Pacific
good
and Atlantic Ocean.
Relative to the scope of history.
Relative to the scope of history, things are not good. They are exceptionally good.
Right.
America's sort of never been in maybe in the early 2000s been in a better place. Some similarities there.
Yep.
But things are really good.
Yep.
Therefore, like, we're able to have these just absurdly idiotic debates that, like, politicians are allowed to get away with spending lots of time talking about, the WNBA.
Yep.
And you have Abdul El-Sayed talking about how Medicare for all means healthcare for all, and trans surgeries for minors is healthcare. And
Yep.
something like that, he's a lot like, you think about, like, how wacky that is in sort of the general, like, thought process of, like, how far out there of a view that is, but that's why people are allowed to have those kinds of thoughts and still
Yep.
get elected.
I wanna end on this, because I think a lot of people don't understand how the sausage is made, particularly as it relates to television. So can you walk people through how you decide, because you got a nightly show, which is
Mm.
cool, but also for anyone, it's challenging, right? It's
Well,
not an
I'm
easy
glad
thing.
someone finally I come to Substack, and this is my first Substack live. I hope the rest of you who are Cillizza's subscribers will join War Notes.
Yes, join War Notes on Substack.
Thank you. warnotes.com, or however it is that you join here. And I just am so happy I've finally come to a safe place that understands
Well,
the hardship that I go through every day.
let
Thank you.
me say this. I always say this to people. One of the things that annoys me about journalists the most is how they act as though they have really hard lives. I'm like, you are not putting
Right.
shingles on a roof in
Yeah.
Texas in August.
Yeah.
We are mostly
Oh,
these
I've got a good story
hands have
about.
not seen a massive amount of, like, they're not calloused. That said, how do you think about 9 to 10 every night? Do you think about, are you having a running conversation? Are you trying to have a running conversation over many days, weeks, months? Are you with the viewer? Are you following kind of where the news is? How much does ratings factor into all that? Can you just walk people through how
Well,
you think of a show?
somebody once told me that you could answer every question of television news with one word,
I know
right?
the
You could,
word.
right. Um, they
I
were not
just
wrong.
said it.
Yeah, they were not wrong. Uh, so the flip, but I think, a good buddy of mine has a line about doing well by doing good.
Mhm.
And I believe, and the ratings prove this, it's why News Nation is the fastest or only growing cable news network, that there is a thirst for real advocacy for the middle. In some nights, that means doing 75 or 80% about how Republicans are screwing up. And some nights it's about doing 85 or 90% about how Democrats are screwing up. Or sometimes it's doing 60% about how evil Iran is. What advocating for the radical middle means on a nightly basis changes.
Yeah.
But I don't, I view being, and we say this, we're the fairest show on television. That doesn't mean if you watch this segment, we are, we are going to be your traditional, well, on this hand and on this hand, and we all,
Right. It's not both siderism. Right.
all the people who did that, ended up covering up for Joe Biden's health, or said they did that. Some crazy Republicans are questioning Joe Biden's health, but the White House says he's just fine and is running,
He
doing
just
underwater
ran 50
trigonometry.
laps.
Right. And like, well, we asked the question, like, no. I don't know if I've lost viewers or gained viewers, whatever. I don't really care, but I've said, there is a difference between Hamas and Israel. There is a moral difference. There is a moral difference between the Palestinians and the Israelis. I don't like. There is, and I think, like, I say this every night. I view the world as right versus wrong, not left versus right.
Mm-hmm.
And I deeply believe and love America and love the institutions of America and the reverence for our institutions and the reverence for our values. And I think the founders, however uniquely brilliant they were also flawed. We are in pursuit of a more perfect union. We are never, which is one of the many things that makes America great. So, but I come back to America's still the greatest place on earth. Like, there's these sort of core principles that I believe, and if we're doing it right, more and more viewers believe it, and more people are tuning in on Substack. Like, there's a market for that. So I don't ever, I don't say things I don't believe.
Yeah.
I don't care how many viewers it gets me. But I do think there is a fundamental vacuum in the conversation in America.
Absolutely.
Your Substack being one of the few bright spots.
No, it is a vacuum. There is no question.
For people who just think about, like, this is right, this is wrong, this is true.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I always say calling balls and strikes, no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. That's the thing I've happened on. But my point is, like, it doesn't matter. It's not a good idea because Democrats do it. It's not a bad idea because Republicans do it, and vice versa, right? Like, let's analyze the idea or the strategy or the policy based on its merits and what we know, as opposed to, oh, well, this person that I identify with said it, and therefore it might be right. Barack Obama
I think
said
there's
smart things. He said dumb things. Donald Trump said, you know what I mean? Like, it's everyone, to your point, the founders all the way through everyone who's been president is a human, and they have some great traits and they have some bad traits, and acknowledging that is just real. Go ahead.
That's all true. The only thing I would add to that is I think there, among a big part of the journalist set, there remains this default towards progressivism. In most journalists, by dint of where they went to school and the fact that they were able to choose the profession and on and on, are sort of at heart liberals that just go look at Washington.
Well, look at the there's evidence. If you ever try to dig into registered Democrats voters, it's like it's 85-15 at best, and probably about 90-10.
Right. And those are the people who are willing to admit that they are registered versus we both worked in newsrooms. It's just the way it is. Fine. I come from the top of, like, America is a really great thing. It is the last best hope in the world. In Chris Steyerwald, I think, said it magnificently. He said, July 4th, 1776, he said this during our 250th celebration broadcast. July 4th, 1776 was the most significant moment in history since the crucifixion of Christ. Like, or the publishing of the Bible, like the founding of Christianity, right? Because of what it's done for the world. And I think when you keep it in that perspective, there's a lot of people who really love America, like in this traditional value thing. And so that I keep in mind every day, like, America is great. America is good. America is fair. It's not perfect, but it is all. And if you keep those, like, to me, those are the North Stars.
Yep. I will end on this. Terry Chandler says, you guys remind me of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. I'm not going to ask.
Okay, who's who? Wait, no.
I'm not going to ask who's Dean and who's Jerry Lewis.
Okay,
but
hey, Terry,
you need to tell us who you view as Dean and who you view as Jerry Lewis. I feel like I'm more of like a Dean.
Well, who got the girls and who told the...
You're more the telethon guy. I'm more like the cool, reserved guy.
Ah, okay. What was that? It was a great movie about that, where Remember the Titans. Remember that line? Like,
no.
You tell the jokes, you get the girl. Yeah, okay. Somebody's gonna save me.
I mean, we do what we can. Leland Vittert, I will, while before we go, I want to remind people, Leland is on News Nation hosting On Balance every single weekday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can find him on Substack at War Notes. He is super active on Substack, which is great. You're going to get something every day from him. You can, and I would urge you genuinely to go buy Born Lucky, Leland's memoir of growing up with autism. And really, it's not an autism book. It's a book about father, sons, family, how we overcome challenges. Like, it's really a wonderful read, and you can find that anywhere you buy books.
I have one question to end this with. Okay, do I get to invite you back sometime?
Yes, we should do this regularly. I enjoy this. I always talking to smart people helps me understand stuff better, and I hope it helps people watching.
Which is what Chris is about to do later. Coming up
yes,
at 5 p.m. Actually a smart person.
I will be at 9 p.m. tonight. I will be with Leland. So if you like this, but you want to see us slightly more dressed up and without hats on, you can, well, I don't know. I won't be wearing a hat. I don't want to speak for Leland.
I have thought, I'm up in Michigan and and actually thanks to Substack now, I do a video every day and like whatever I'm wearing at 12:30. Sometimes it's a suit, sometimes it's a hat. I'm kind of like, I feel like there is I don't want to say an authenticity, but I love these kinds of conversations.
Yeah, man, because we can't do 50 minutes on your show. I mean, that's just how TV works. All right. Everyone who joined live, thank you. If you're watching a replay, thank you. Do two things. So the first thing is easy. Subscribe to War Notes on Substack. For support Leland.
And by the way, if you are a Leland subscriber, subscribe to So What?
Yes, please. I need it too. Second, go check out Born Lucky. I know I'm flacking it. I make nothing off of this, but it's a really good book. It's a touching book about growing up and about being a parent and then and a son, and as the father of sons, and as someone who had a difficult relationship with my father, it really touched me. Anyway, thank you, Leland. Take care.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, see you, everybody.
See you guys.